Welcome, everybody, to the NFL show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Now, it's not the NFL show. It's the Cincinnati Bengals weekly show. But, hey, I do so many shows, sometimes I forget. The Bengals show is brought to you by Replenishing Care and Technologies. Make sure you check them out at rcandt.com. Also, new sponsor, Manscaped, which I know Ty Robbins could use. No response. All right,
hit in the digs early there, Michael.
Let me welcome in my co-host. First up, I watched him today be introduced to Super Bowl 23. They had you prominently coming out on that Super Bowl 23 highlight video. My son was watching it. Joe, help me welcome to the show, Joe Kelly.
Hey, what's up, fellas? It's a long day, man. Sunday was a long day, man. Long week. I thought that our offense would play a lot better. I was surprised. I thought it would be the other way around. I thought they would totally dominate our defense, and Lamar would run for 200 and throw for 250. That didn't happen, but we just got totally manhandled. It was probably one of the worst offensive line showings I've seen in a long time. So it's unfortunate that in the NFL you have to put all three pieces together: defense, offense, and special teams. From the way it looks, Ty, it looks like it's going to be a long season. And the way, in my mind, Joe Burrow's he's a tough SOB, man. But I don't think he'll be able to last. Not with these guys. It won't happen. He won't last 16 games.
All right, and on that positive note, I want to welcome in our other co-host, Ty Robbins. How you doing, Ty?
I'm doing great. As a Bengals fan, every week and weekend, you're watching the game. You're so excited. You want them to do great. You're hoping they do great. You go through the draft, you get excited about the players, and then the season gets here, and the first game they always keep it close, and you have some hope. And then, we did win, we tied, and I thought, wow, if anything, we could have upset the Ravens by chance if we played the perfect game. We just didn't play the perfect game, and I was shocked because I'm like Joe. I thought it would be the other way around. Our defense, except for the first, quarter, really turned it around and played solid football for them. And then our offense, this is what our offense reminded me of when you play backyard football and nobody wants to be the lineman. Right? Nobody wants to be the offensive line, and you decide that we're not going to have a count. We're just going to have an all-out rush, and then you try to get rid of the football as fast as possible. You know what I mean? And that's what I felt, Joe Burrow was getting from every direction. I'm like you, Joe. I think he's as tough as they come, but I don't see him. And that's what I felt. If they continue on this path, these guys at some point have to block. They have to block or figure it out or go with Finley because Burrow's going to get hurt. He's going to get hurt, and he's tough, and he'll come out and he'll do the post-conference and he'll say the right things, and he'll back up everybody. But in the end of the day, he's got to make quick decisions about getting hit, and if that's not how you want to start out your career. So I don't know what they do at this point, but they got to figure something out.
All right, Mike Holbrook asked Joe, what is it going to take to change the culture of this organization?
Well, honestly, it's gonna take Mike Brown to allow Katie to take the reins. We all know I was drafted by Paul. Mike took over. At the last year of my year with the Bengals, he runs it. It's a family organization. You look at a lot of the other owners in the NFL, and they have outside interests. They have other companies where that their revenue, they have additional revenue generated. This is it. This is what the Browns do. This is their breadwinner, and it's run like that. It's not run to in the same capacity as a Pittsburgh Steeler, Baltimore Raven, New England Patriots, to put the best team on to try and win a Super Bowl. That's not our goal. We want to go out, and he spent some money. So we look at it for Bengal Nation. We were just in awe of this guy spending money. But guess what? Every other team does that every year. So I think we got a little over eager because he did spend some money. But when you look at it, did we need some new defensive backs, some help here? We got some players. I don't think the first guy we signed was a defensive tackle. I didn't think that was the number one priority, that we needed another defensive tackle. And you see, as a result, until if I don't know with Mike Brown, I don't think he'll ever hire a GM like other organizations. Responding to Mike Holbrook here, I think with Katie, I would hope that she understands that she's not a football person. She was at her family, her Paul is a football guy, and I think I would imagine that she would want to surround herself with a GM that's is a business, football oriented guy, that our young lady that knows football and can actually go out here and evaluate talent, as opposed to reading Mel Kiper's his analysis of each player. So until that happens, we're still going to get this, and we're going to get the coaching staff, the subpar coaching staff. Mike Goodpaster right now has the same credentials or better credentials than Zach. You call it what you want it. The offensive line. 2 weeks ago he's putting 68 as far as he's concerned, playing as well as any offensive tackle in football. We're looking at the game. So if this guy is what is if he's the barometer and saying, here, our offensive line is this, and we're one player away. I heard a lot of people saying we're only one guard. We need a white guard, and that'll solve the problem. Absolutely not. We are at least three guys on that offensive line from being able to protect this kid and allow this kid to become the player that everybody has seen in the beginning of the season.
Well, and AJ Green is a big question here. And my thing is, if you don't re-sign AJ Green, you don't give Bobby Hart $21 million. You've got the money to go out and get a guard and a tackle. I mean, you could get multiple offensive linemen for that money. And I think what they did at the DBs, outside of Von Bell, I don't see where anybody they brought in was really a huge addition or a huge upgrade, Ty.
I was excited to see what Alexander could do. I heard a lot of things, as far as, not missing tackles and being a solid, more so than Denard. So I was hoping that he would come through, but he's been hurt. Wayne's been hurt. Reeder just got hurt. Just about everybody we've signed, Xavier got hurt. All of our people in free agency that we hired, we went out and got or injured, except for Bell. So I guess we'll just have to, see what happens. As far as AJ Green, that ship sailed. I don't think you get much for AJ at this point. People are concerned about his health. They don't want to pay the big ticket price of that franchise tag. And so I think for him, he's got to, do what he did, say, hey, that's not what I was saying this week. That's his only response that he could do, and then go out and show. If he wants the big money, like he says he deserves, and he's going to have to start playing, and he's got the rest of the season to do that. But I don't know how that happens when you have linemen that can't block long enough for Burrow to get it downfield. So, or, for him, he's got to start getting separation and picking it up. I like AJ a lot, and I hope that he turns it around. We'll just have to see. He's got plenty of season left to do something.
Yeah, and Joe, I mean, the one thing I can say about this game, if you'd have told me going into it, our defense would only give up 20 points, you've got a chance to win it. The defense played well in this game.
Yeah, they played well enough for us to win. And I can eat my words because I said, our defense is going to find a way to lose it. You guys recall I said that. So when I'm looking at it, we weren't a dominating defense like Baltimore was. We were making plays and we were getting off the field on third down. That was the biggest thing. They would get yardage. They would get 4 or 5. It wasn't like we were attacking line of scrimmage and stopping them at 1-2 yard gains. But we won on third down. If you win on third down in this league, you're going to give your team a chance to win, and that's what we did. When we look at the other side of the ball, we're talking about AJ Green. Being an ex-player, you're looking at guys' demeanor. You look at how they're running their route, or even if on defense, how they're executing, how they walk off the field, just their demeanor. And we're looking at a lot of things that they're asking AJ to do, and listening to my ex-teammate Tim McGee, who's had a really good career, wide receiver, knows wide receiver play, and AJ is running a lot of dummy routes. You call it what you want. You want it. You could say he's running dummy routes. He's running routes for Tyler Boyd to come underneath. He's running routes, clearing routes for Higgins. So understand this. In every coaching new regime, they're going to push their guys. So you can say what you want. We can get all the naysayers. AJ doesn't have this. It's Zach is trying to prove that some of the guys he drafted are good because he has to win. So T. Higgins has to hit. The guys that he's drafting have to hit, or he's going to get backlash from that. AJ's not his guy. Could they have gotten more a bigger trade bait for AJ had they traded him before? Yes. Will they get the same now? Absolutely not. I think AJ is still on this team. He's the number one guy. T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd are not number one receivers. The number one cornerback is covering AJ Green. Every game is covering AJ Green. If you take AJ Green out of the mix, you'll really see how good these two receivers are without AJ Green. A lot of things, and the frustration. Whether or not he said what he said, it looked like he said what he said. I understand why he would say what he said. If I'm running, and when this guy is not even looking for the ball, there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect somewhere, and I wouldn't say it's Joe Burrow's fault. It's partially offensive line, their inability to block anybody, the play calling. But he's in a tough position. I know, because
Well, how about this, Joe? Yeah. If Zach Taylor is ignoring him because he wants to use his guys, what does this tell us about the Bengals front office that they re-signed AJ Green?
Well, you know that it hasn't always been the same. We remember Chris Henry. Marvin did not. I know that for a fact. Marvin did not want that dude on his team. And when Mike signed that guy, I think then I don't want to speak for Marvin, but I think then he came to a realization that no matter what, Mike's going to put his team out. So I'm going to ride the wave, and you rode the 15, 16-year wave, but it was at a point in time where he was just going to coach who he had, and he wasn't going to make a big deal about it. And I think as long as Mike Brown is at the helm, these kind of things are going to happen. So we don't really know if Zach wanted AJ. We see what happened up in New York. Gase never wanted Le'Veon Bell, and it was a nightmare from day one. and they wind up, that's an easy 26, 27 million Le'Veon Bell got. And, it was a total disaster for, the Jets organization, even though their top guys wanted him and the head coach didn't. So, we don't really know the fact, but, it happens.
Yeah, and I think that the Jets organization is a lot like the Bengals organization when you look at it. I mean, it's just poorly run. There's no chain of command. There's just one guy that makes the calls. And when that happens, things usually don't turn out too well. All right, this week, the Bengals travel to Indianapolis to play the Colts, Ty. You got any hope for this one?
Come on, Ty.
Better than the Ravens, I assure you. If they could get to Phillips and he likes to stay in the pocket. If they could get to him and fluster him a little bit, and our defense play as well as they did last week, it's going to come down to offensive line play and Joe Mixon maybe getting out there.
We don't have a chance, Ty.
What? Say that again.
Saying we don't have a chance.
I'm not
we don't have a
that.
chance then.
I don't know. I like to think that the Bengals could pull this one off. I think they could. I think with Mixon and those guys are going to have big games. They're going to have to take some of the pressure off. They're going to have to do some more play action. They're going to maybe some screens if they're coming in. They're going to have to figure something out. They've got the personnel. I don't think the Colts are going to blitz as much as what is this, Martindale from the Ravens.
He's also a talk show.
Yeah, talk show.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to blitz as much. Or they may look at the tape and say it. I don't think they have the personnel to. So I think it could be close. It'll be a close game for sure. If they can get to Phillips.
Ty, stop. Don't do this. I mean, people watch this show. You can't be saying stuff like that. I mean,
I'm a fan. I represent the fans.
If I'm the Colts, I don't need the blitz. I got DeForest Buckner and Justin Houston who are just going to destroy the Bengals offensive line. Am I wrong here, Joe?
No. I think you're totally on point, Mike. We look at it, and unfortunately, we're looking at every week, and we're trying to, find the Cinderella's foot to fit in the shoe. And Ty, I'm look at the man cave, man. I can take you around, man. This is Bengal Nation down here, baby.
I know. I love it. I love it, Joe. I love it.
And it's when the Bengals lose on Sunday, man, it's really a shitty day.
I agree.
What else? Other games?
I agree. And Monday, don't.
So I say that, and now you have to. I think this season and seeing what we have and seeing, the audacity of this organization to put that offensive line together. You bought, a brand new Rolls Royce off the showroom floor, and you're living in the tenements. Right, you're parking it in an apartment. You know what I mean? You don't do that. You got this brand new Rolls Royce, and you want to surround it. You want to put a ironclad gate around this dude. And I think we knew, Mike, when they signed, and I know 68. Personally, he hears it. And as we're commentating, I know how you feel as a football player, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. 68 is not I don't care what that offensive line coach said. 68 is not a starting offensive tackle in the National Football League, period. You could argue that there are at least 3 guys on their team are like that. And we can talk about, Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is arguably in the top 5, top 6, 7 backs in the league. This dude can't even get to the line of scrimmage. without getting hit. The wide receivers, you want to get AJ Green involved. Now I hear they're getting my Husky, and 15.
John Rice.
Yeah,
John Ross.
And we need somebody to go deep. Well, hell, he don't have time the time to throw it deep. So we look at it and we talk about what we think can happen against the Indianapolis Colts. They're fortunate that Phillip Rivers is up in age. He's never been a scrambler. He's going to stay in the pocket. I think, we can win some third downs with him, but offensively, I think their D-line is going to dominate our offensive line again. I don't think it's going to be bad as the total domination that the Ravens put on us. But each week, every offensive coordinator, defensive line coach, they're salivating when they look at film and they see what works, and just about everything works. They're not going to get down in the stadium and put this thing together this week. Mike, you know offensive line play, and I would say at least half of those sacks were guys were not even touched. They're running through the A gap, not touched. Nobody.
Yeah, and the sad thing, Joe, the sad thing is this. You're 5 weeks into the season, and the offensive line's no better than it was week one. It might even be worse. You still see guys lean. I mean, a decent football coach or a decent offensive line coach sees that right away. Yeah. And the bad thing about that is a decent defensive line coach sees it too.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you the Colts are being told, as soon as you see that lean, just grab them and run by them, because that's what's happening here. Yeah. And everybody blames Mike Brown for this. This is Paul Brown's fault. If you want to get to the crux of this organization, I mean, I had a friend who passed away a couple years ago, Gary Jeter. You probably knew him. Joe played for the New York Giants.
Yeah.
1979, he was worried because he thought the Bengals might draft him. You told the story before about them offering the same money they offered Lewis Billups, who was picked around later. This organization has always been run by this. This is also an organization that when Paul Brown decided to retire, he hired Bill Tiger Johnson to be the head coach when he had Bill freaking Walsh sitting there as his offensive coordinator. Yeah. And he did it because he knew Bill Walsh may make him look bad. Bill Walsh with that 76 Bengals team might have come in here and won a damn Super Bowl. Yeah. I mean, the Bengals were really talented in the mid-'70s. You were running with maybe one of the best cornerback tandems of all time, Lamar Parrish, Kenny Riley. You had a young Reggie Williams, Coy Bacon at defensive end. That was a team that could have won. So when everybody sits here and says, oh, this is all Mike Brown's fault, his daddy's the one that set this up. His dad was the one living in the 50s that thought you could do everything by yourself. The only difference was Paul Brown drafted a little bit better than Mike did, and Paul Brown had everybody's respect because he was freaking Paul Brown. Mike Brown, just some quarterback from Dartmouth or Brown. Who cares? Brown. And the thing is, this organization, since the time it was born, was run by one person. And it's really hard to do that successfully. And I would say that Paul Brown didn't win any Super Bowls. And if you look at the 81 and the 88 Bengals, within 2 years of each one of those Super Bowl seasons, the team was decimated because they let people leave. They got rid of people. Yeah. And because this Brown family, and it was Paul Brown in 81 and 88, didn't want to pay the players. Yeah. So they didn't care if they won or not. They were trying to make money, hoping they could win. The difference was when you got Paul Brown doing it, at least he knows something about football. And I'm not saying Mike Brown doesn't. He was a college quarterback. I'm sure he knows something. But there's a difference between knowing about football and being able to evaluate a tackle or evaluate a defensive end. You've got to have the 30 or 40 scouts every other team in the AFC North has. And each one of those scouts, I mean, you got guys specifically, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but specifically looking for O-linemen. You got other coaches that are D-line guys who are looking for D-linemen.
Absolutely.
And I mean, this is a joke.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about it, Ty. We've talked about it in the past about scouts going out and physically going out to practice, going out to University of Alabama, going out to see this guy, Oklahoma. And you look at teams, you look at Pittsburgh. And they had a couple first round picks, but those other guys are mid-round picks. And how are all these teams hitting with these mid-round picks because they're going out and they're studying these guys. When we don't have anybody that's out there that's physically going to see these guys and seeing how these guys interact with their team, see what kind of work ethic they have. Really looking in practice, looking at their work habits, their study habits. You're able to see if this guy is heavy on his toes. If he's leaning back, how his balance is. You can see him in practice going against speed guys. Seeing him going, you can see those things because in practice everything is segmented. It's we're going to go here. We're going to do pass rush. We're going to so what's coming up. So you're able to really look at a guy and see what really is this guy's strength and what is his weaknesses. And when you don't have a scouting department that's capable or not even able to do that, because the coaching staff goes out and scouts after the season is over. Every team has already been scouting these guys face to face at their schools, at games.
Probably for a year, Joe. They were probably in the off season this last year, and maybe not because of the COVID, but they were probably at least having Zoom meetings with them.
Yeah. So it's tough. Ty, it's tough being a Bengal fan, and we are. That's what we are. And it's unfortunate because it doesn't take a football genius to really see what's going on. Had we kept Whitworth and Zeitler, if we kept them, we would be in the talk. Right now, we would be in the talk every year because now you got you throw Joe Burrows in the mix, and you got a Mixon. You got a Giovanni Bernard, and our receivers that we have.
Hell, Joe, is Giovanni still on the team? They never let him play.
Mike, it's you wonder about the game plan. I have no idea what the offensive line coach was trying to teach them, what they practice, because I seen it wasn't even, they weren't even running a lot of games. It wasn't even a lot of defensive line games. Guys were just coming, here when guys blitzing, you're protecting the inside first. You're protecting the inside, and then you go out here, nobody's there. I've literally seen the guard and the tackle, both of them, step inside. Nobody comes that way, and both of them don't touch nobody. And there's a guy out in B gap, and he's running straight, and a guy over here in A gap. These two guys. What are you looking at? And it happens so many times. I'm just like, who? This is coaching. This is the NFL, and you're looking at these. You don't even see high school kids, Mike, that blow that many blocking assignments that are just even a one-man blitz or no blitz. It's just four-man rush, and they're totally whiffing or missing guys because of lack of communication.
Yeah, and Ty, does this really affect you into Monday when the Bengals lose now?
It certainly does, because then I got
to. Come on, you didn't give up when I did when Jeremy Hill fumbled that ball in 2015. I lost all hope then. I stopped being upset. Now I just expect it.
That was a long week.
No, but you gotta. If you're a true Bengal fan, you got to go to work, and then people are giving you a hard time because they know you're a Bengal fan and same old Bengals, and you got to hear it.
You know why that happens, Ty? I'm a true Bengal fan, but I don't ever claim that I think they're going to beat anybody. See, your problem is you got like Browns and Steeler fans probably at your school, and you're probably talking mad crap and knowing they're going to get beat. So this is what
it happens sometimes.
We got Joe Burrows. We're going to playoffs this year, right?
The Browns haven't been that good, so
but now your issue is this: the Browns are 4-1 and have figured out maybe you should just run the ball when you got two really good running backs. So there could be an issue in Cleveland if you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan.
Yeah. And they got good linemen. Even the linemen they picked up, are pretty good.
They've got average linemen. There's not too many. I can't think of too many teams in the NFL right now, Joe, that have above average offensive lines.
No, you don't. You look at, my prime example is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has, you have Ponce, the center, who's been one of the top centers for a long time. Other than that, these guys are, they're good, but I wouldn't say that this is, the Dallas Cowboy line of the '90s. It doesn't compare to anything like that. But you look at in this league, it's coaching and it's technique. Because guess what? Every week, it is Indianapolis defensive line as good as Baltimore's overall? Probably not.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I
know,
think they are, Joe. With the fourth
but
partner in Justin Houston.
But when you look at it, my thing is when you go week by week, guess what? Everybody on that defensive line is an NFL player.
Yeah. Not everybody on the Bengals offensive line is, though. That's the problem.
So when you look at it, and with coaching, because you're going to go against people that are stronger than you, faster, bigger, faster, stronger, and it comes down to technique. It comes down to learning the scheme, and I don't think that the players understand the scheme. If they do, it's a total disconnect. If they do, they're really awful. Just say that. If they understand the scheme, they're really awful. And
the thing is this, don't you think the big problem there is the lack of people being able to coach offensive linemen from junior high all the way through college? Because I can tell you this, my high school team doesn't practice on Wednesdays. And 5 of those Wednesdays this year, I've went to help other coaches with their high school varsity team. And the thing I notice is when they run like offense against defense on a Wednesday night, they stop and correct quarterback, wide receiver, running back mistakes. With offensive linemen, they don't. They just kind of let it go. And you almost never see a high school coach that will stop in and say, no, you're supposed to take a step this way. You're supposed to do that. But I see all kind of high school coaches that'll yell, you got to keep your pad level low or you got to get your butt down. But they don't ever stop and emphasize it. And I think a lot of times what we end up is just a bunch of overgrown dudes, probably a lot of steroids, a lot of cheeseburgers. They're 6'5", 300 pounds. Yeah. So we're just going to consider them offensive linemen because it takes a while to run around them. But when you get to the NFL, the defensive linemen are badasses then. You're not fat asses like they might be in high school and college. And you've got to have some technique. And if you've never been taught it, what it looks like to me is teams with really good offensive line coaches like the 49ers, the Steelers, the Patriots, their guys get coached up into a position where they're good enough to win the game. It doesn't happen here.
Yeah, I mean, when you mentioned New England, I had just didn't even think about New England and even them going to the Super Bowl. And I know several times they went. Their offensive line was, there's a rag doll. They put those guys together. 3-4 of their starters are out, and these are second-tier guys. These are guys they traded for in the middle of the season. These guys are coming off the practice squad, but they're getting taught, and they're getting taught to their strength, whatever their strength is. They may not be an over physical guy, and it's a technique guy. San Francisco, I hated playing them because you knew they were going to cut. They were going to cut, and their leg whipping. Leg whipping is illegal now. But that's what that coach taught. So he didn't need the 6'6", 330-pound monster. He needed a guy that was agile, that had good feet, good technique, and he can teach them their scheme. And no matter who he put in there, it was just a piece. You put another cog in the puzzle, and it worked. But they were teaching that technique. Here, are we? What are we, Mike? Ty? What are we? Smash mouth? Because we're damn sure not technique.
I don't think we know what the hell we are, Joe. All I know is this. I've never seen a team where maybe 1 of the 5 offensive linemen can kick step properly.
I don't know.
And the only reason Jonah Williams looks like he can is because he played for a good offensive line coach at Alabama.
Yeah. And you, man, I don't, I don't even want to say that because I got a lot of hope for Jonah. But he's looking just like a guy.
Yeah.
In Alabama, he was a dog. I seen him, I seen him bulldoze. I seen him, pass, block, punch, good hand-eye coordination. Things I used to see Anthony Munoz, Joe Walters, those guys practice. We had a kung fu guy out there and just teaching them, their hand placement. You don't see none of that. And it's a situation where you're going against guys, like you said, guys in high school, most offensive linemen in high school, they were the biggest badasses at their school, and they totally dominated the little kids in their conference. And then when you got to college, you were getting taught how to play offensive line. And then if you are good enough in college and to get to NFL, now you got to learn technique, because guess what? You're going against Chris Doby. You're going against Pat Swithin. You're going against Reggie White. Howie Long. So you better learn technique, because guess what? Those guys are just as big as you, probably stronger, and damn sure faster. So you have to win with technique. And Ty, I don't know, Ty, do you see any kind of technique getting taught with this offensive line?
It's all about technique. Even when I coach, wrestling's a very technical sport. And you can have a great athlete, you can have the strongest guy, you can have the fastest guy come in that room, and he'll be put on his back very quickly, because it comes down to technique. Proper technique will win over every time. And so if these guys aren't getting coached up and they're not, getting their hand placement, getting low on the pad, they're not going to win on the line. They just aren't. And that's showing, because they're getting blown back, and like they're getting 5 yards easy, so I don't know. I don't.
Hey, Joe, don't let Ty fool you, because he was a junior high football coach for 2 years.
That's right, baby.
Ty, you know where we're talking. It's just,
and my dudes come up and hit somebody though.
Yeah. But you're looking at our.
Hey, I saw Ty beat a kid one time that didn't do what he was supposed to do too.
Right.
That's a different era, huh? You couldn't do that back in that era.
Nah, that didn't happen.
Well, we'll leave that alone, Ty.
Yeah.
All right, we look at the Bengals Colts. The one thing about the Colts, I may be crazy here, but I think the Colts would have a better chance of winning with Jacoby Brissett than they do with Phillip Rivers.
Jacoby gives him another dimension. With Phillip Rivers, you know what you're getting. He still has a decent arm, but in my opinion, he's still erratic. He was very erratic toward the end of his tenure in San Diego, and he'll throw you the ball. He'll throw you the ball, and we can hopefully put some kind of pressure, and even defensively, It's a bend but don't break, because they're still rushing 5-yard average per play. We won on third down. We have to win on third down again this week. But if you get a team that says, well, hey, we're going to run on you, and we're giving up 4.6, 4.7 yards a rush, 1 yards a rush, I'm just going to run at them. And every time we come to third down, it's 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. And the odds of us winning on third down, they increase. So the teams are looking bad, and if we don't win this week, I think we're going to be in a free fall. I'm hoping that the free fall is not starting, but I can see a team like the Bengals going into a free fall. Because now you're going to start getting the distrust with the players. Now, Joe Burrows is, he's saying everything good about everybody. How long are you going to take a beating and keep saying, you got to keep saying positive? How long is AJ Green going to stay positive? How long is Joe Mixon going to stay positive if every time he's hitting the ball and he's getting 24 rushes for 40 yards? And Giovanni, is getting no touches. You can say what you want. We're all human, and everybody. This is a team sport on an individual basis. Because if you don't produce individually, you will not be a part of that team too much longer. So, with that being said, if we continue to go in this free fall, you can look at the defense. When they had the team meeting and everybody's going to hold each other accountable, and we're going to do this, keep losing, and it's tough. You're gonna need those leaders to really come up and keep this team together, because sooner or later there are going to be some disgruntled people on this team, and it's tough knowing when you have the guys to at least to be able to compete on an NFL level. And right now, just like offensively, we were totally dominated in every facet of the offensive game, they're going to have to do better if you think that this team is going to come out and go on a 4 or 5 game winning streak. Things are going to have to get better on the field.
All right, Mike Holbrook wants to know if we believe Zach has lost the locker room. I would say this: I don't think Zach ever had the locker room. What do you think, Ty?
The way they make it sound, the players have the locker room. If Bell's giving these speeches and other players are trying to get people pumped up and holding people accountable, and it doesn't sound like Zach has too much control. I think part of it is that, and this might be PR, Zach comes up, he doesn't really put anybody on the spot. He doesn't really hold anybody accountable out in the media. Now, whether he does it behind closed doors,
I guarantee you he does not.
There are a lot of coaches. There are a lot of coaches.
Like he's 12. I mean, most of the players' wives could probably whip his ass. He has no presence about him on a football field. He's a candy ass. Ty, just admit it.
Yeah, there's a lot of coaches are tough. They're going to put, even Tom Brady got pulled over the fire there. He was held accountable for his play and he turned it on. And so they don't care. Why? Because their jobs are on the line. And he doesn't seem to, worry that much, but he better figure it out because,
Yeah, he hadn't even won enough games to be an NFL commentator after he gets fired.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It's when you talk about, the locker room, it doesn't matter if the coach is a young coach, if he's, a former player, if he's a Belichick, he's an Art Shell. Every coach I played for commanded the locker room, except, in my opinion, Bruce Cosett. And Bruce Cosett, was an offensive coordinator, so he was a proven coach in this league. And when I got traded up to New York, he just like Zach, hired all his buddies from where they go from Central Michigan, Western Michigan, wherever they came from. Those are his buddies.
Like
and whether or not his buddies, if they experience-wise were experienced enough to come and coach at this level, they weren't. They could have, he could have brought him in as assistant coach. But you could have brought in a qualified offensive coordinator. You could have brought in a qualified defensive coordinator, and kind of try and put other pieces to the puzzle. Now, when you have an offensive line coach that's telling Bengal Nation that number 68 is playing his ass off, and he's doing this, and we're a player away. So if Mike, you're the head coach and I'm your buddy, and you hired me to run the offensive line, and I said 68, you need to, hey, well, Joe, hey, your ass is out of here. I love you, buddy, but you're it's not working.
That's exactly how it would go, too, Joe.
Yeah, but you know what? It's at the end of the day, it's business, because at the end of the day, Zach's name is here. Not the defensive coordinator, not the offensive line coach. It's what you put together right here. And in my opinion, if you're saying, okay, if we're trying to win this season, somebody got to be held accountable. In my opinion, that offensive line coach will be fired. I think he needs to hire, or let somebody take over offensive, the plays or whatever. I think he's trying to do the same thing as McVay is doing in the Rams, but you're not qualified to do what you're trying to do, and then we don't have the same personnel to do what they're doing. So it's unfortunately we're what, a quarter through the season, and it's tough to really think that our season is already over. and we're only a quarter through the season because what did we do to make us really think that we got better from last week?
We did nothing, Joe, like we always do, like we've done for the last 5 years. And Ty, this is the big moment. Bengals Colts, who wins?
I'm not going with the Colts, man. I can't go with the Colts.
Come on, Ty.
I'm not going with the Colts. No, yeah. I'm going 24-21 Bengals. Yeah. They will. I mean, it's the Colts. Come on.
This is why you catch so much hell at work after a game on Sunday.
Listen, this is the Steelers. This is the Ravens. I'm not going with the Colts, man. They're not that good. I don't see.
You tied the Eagles, Ty.
Hey. The thing about the Eagles, though, they got heart, man. They got heart, and they're gonna play.
Which is why it was a tie, because we had the better team on the field.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. That came down to coaching. And here's the other thing,
because it usually does, and this is the problem. Indianapolis has a decent coach. We don't.
You know, and I agree. When I coached. When I coach, and wrestling is a little bit different than football, but I coach to win, right? I don't coach to tie. I don't coach to kick a field goal. So
dude, I forgot to bring that up. Now, how in the hell do you kick a field goal in 27 or nothing?
I go to win. You know what I mean? I'm not kicking to be like, oh, well, we scored some points. No, I'm going to win.
Maybe that was his post-game speech to the team. Hey, guys, we didn't get shut out.
Hey, it's sad. It's sad when you think about that, you know, just think of the mentality that what you're giving to your team.
The message.
What you're saying to your team. We're gonna it's 27-0, and we're gonna kick a field goal to get on the board. You know, have some kahunas, man. We're trying to get in the end zone. Period.
You know what I would take, Joe? I would take Mike Zimmer getting fired in Minnesota and taking the job here at the end of the season, and we may be able to get him just because you know how the Brown family is.
Well, you know he has.
I like him.
He has ties to Cincinnati. You know, and you don't wish, you know, him to not do well in Minnesota.
I do, Joe, because he needs to be here. I don't give a damn about
Zim, you know, from what I hear, Zimmer he's a coach that every player that has ever played for him has given him kudos about everything, how he runs a team, how he treats players. You know, he commands respect. He's gonna demand that you're gonna go out, you're gonna give it your all, you're gonna work hard, you're gonna play hard. So
you know why, Joe? Because he gets in somebody's ass when he doesn't sugarcoat anything. When it's time to play and you're not doing your job, he's gonna make sure that you do your job, or he's gonna replace you.
Anybody ever seen Opie Taylor get mad?
You know, it's not but you know, you look at how horrendous. So defense last week, they're out there and they're playing against, you know, the Baltimore Ravens, a formidable offense. And did they bend? Absolutely. That's what their motto. We're not going to break. But they won on third down. So the guys were winning. They were making plays. Defense was flying around, third down, making plays. And then you're coming and you're going on the sideline and you're looking at Joe Burrows running for his life every single. So where's the offensive line coach that is on the bench? You know, like, give me some of this blip. You know, so that they're bleeping all the sounds on the sideline. Give me one of those guys. You know, I don't need, you know, because Zach, you're the head coach, so you got to be, you know, you have to show composure. But you know what? I need my offensive line coach. I need you to fix it right now. So I may not, as a head coach, go and go from the sideline and go talk to the bench, to the offensive line. But I'm gonna tell my offensive line coach, you know, damn it, get them together right now, or it's your ass. Period. You know, and hear from those guys, you know, I don't mix it up, get 68 out of there. Because what you can't play any worse. You know, put Billy Price back at center, put the center back at guard. Try something. Do something, because it's not working. It's not working. So you're saying to your team, And I'm on offense and on defense, and I'm looking at offensively, the same guys. The same guys are starting this week. And you have to be thinking in the offensive defensive rooms, there's going to start to be some, come on, oh, come on, man, come on. And you're out there and you're getting your ass kicked over and over and over. And we're going out there and we're making stops. We're making stops. At some point in time, man, there's going to be somebody that blows off the handle. It's human nature. It's unfortunate because we have enough talent. Do we have the talent to go to the Super Bowl? Absolutely not. But do we have the talent to compete? If we had two formidable other offensive linemen and we stayed the same, my opinion, we would compete because of what Joe Burrows brings. And you can get AJ in the offense. You can get Giovanni in the offense and allow those gaps, because Mixon is going he's going to get it. He's going to play. Just come on, let's go. Come on. You know what I mean? Because I know you can see the fire. Come on, dude.
Hey, Joe, put it like this. Joe, can you name 6 New England Patriots?
No.
And they don't have a Joe Mixon. They don't have the receivers the Bengals have. And offensive line-wise, they lost their center last year. They lost their starting left tackle 2 years before that. And guys that we've never heard of all of a sudden are good enough to be 2-2 and to be competitive in every game. I think what it shows you is this. In the NFL, with most teams, I don't think the talent level is that big a difference. But there is a big difference when it comes to coaching.
Absolutely. You see the same teams that are Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh they get rid of guys. And here's this guy that comes, the next guy comes in and he fills in. And he fills in and there's no drop off. And these guys are not, they're good football players, but when they get in the mesh of what they're doing, they become household guys. And every 4 or 5, you look at Pittsburgh linebackers, their DBs, how they turn over. Guy 3-4 years, boom, bring another guy in. 3-4 years, get his money, he goes somewhere else. And we can't do that. We're just not built like that. And like you said, the big thing, we're not coached like that. So our guys, our players are coming from the LSUs. They're coming from good schools. They're coming from good programs. But then when they get here, they're not getting taught what it takes to win in the NFL. The technique that you need to win in the NFL. You can see that because you're coming from good programs. You're a good football player. You're in the NFL. But when you get here, you have to be taught what it is like to be in the NFL. I don't give a damn where you're from. Alabama, LSU, you get here, you have to be taught how to become a competitive football player mentally, because you're not coming in this game and bulldozing anybody over every play. So it's a mental game, it's a technique game, and when you can't put those two together, you get what you got offensively.
Hey, and Mike Holbrook brings up a good point about Andre Smith, and this is the one time COVID has really played out good for the Bengals, because with no COVID, Andre Smith would have played because he decided not to play because of the COVID, and I'm sure the Bengals probably would have traded a second or third round draft pick for him by now.
Wow.
But Joe, Bengals or Colts, who do you like?
You know what, Ty, I'm with you, brother. I'll have my bingo gear on. I'll have my hat on, man. I'll be down here with some whiskey and some cigars, and because I can't see it. There's no changes. I didn't hear any offensive line changes. We did sign somebody. I can't remember who it was, but
defensive lineman.
Yeah,
Xavier
Williams.
I don't.
I'm not fooled by this coaching staff. I'm at the point now. I refuse to get caught up in my emotional attachment, and I know the guys that are out here coaching. those guys and not getting those guys prepared, because that offensive line coaches have not got those guys prepared. It was too many blown assignments in week 5. Can't happen. That doesn't happen. I don't care who you talk to. I don't care how bad you are. And I think the same thing is going to happen this week. I think Indianapolis defense is going to totally dominate us up front. I think we're going to bend and break. I think we're going to win some third downs here and there. But I still see Indianapolis winning 27-14.
All right, I'm going to go with the Colts to win this game. I don't think the Bengals can stop the run game as long as the Colts do not decide to have Phillip Rivers chuck it down the field 35 times. I think the Bengals have no chance because the Bengals very rarely have a chance. That's why Opie Taylor's 3-17-1 now. And I'll say it just like I said it all last year. He needs to take his ass back with Aunt B and Mayberry because he sucks. I think the Bengals will score. I think the Bengals will score 20 points. I think they'll give up 34. They'll be 1-4-1. And the bad thing is they've still got a couple more games against teams that are predominantly run teams, and that's just going to lead. I think what you'll see is at the end of the year, Joe Burrow will get hot. They'll play teams that don't run the ball that well. They'll win 3 or 4 of their last 5 or 6 games. Everybody will get excited, and they'll decide to keep Zach Taylor. So right now I'm to the point as a Bengals fan, I'm almost cheering for him to lose just so it'll fire Zach Taylor.
That's unfortunate, man. That's unfortunate.
Last year I wanted to lose so they get Joe Burrow. Now I want to lose so they get rid of Zach Taylor.
Oh, man.
Hey, hold on. Mike Holbrook just invited us to Florida for wings. So
I see you, Mike. I see you.
Hey, I'm down with that.
Yeah, we might.
but with COVID, my wife's losing her job. You're going to have to fly us down, Mike. If you'll fly all 3 of us out, we'll come down.
We're going to come in. We're going to do the show at the wing place.
Yeah, tell them we'll sponsor it, or they can sponsor it and bring it down. I'm sure there's tons of Bengal fans down there.
Yeah.
Mr. Andy Steve says, no way we win more than 3 games this year. I think 4 or 5 is the absolute most they could win, and I don't see that right now. Hell, I don't know if I see 3 right now, Joe.
Yeah, it's Mr. Andy Steve. I agree with you based on offensively, unless there is a trade. And the only trade bait that we have would be AJ Green in order to get a quality offensive line. Without that, understand Bengal Nation, unfortunately, if we get 3 wins, and like I said, when you look at our remaining schedule, and we didn't have an extremely hard, tough schedule, but based on who we have left, I do not see us offensively or defensively being able to compete.
All right. I think Mike gave us the answer to it. Mike's not flying us down because he put LOL.
Yeah.
But if you're anywhere near Panama City, I will be there in the middle of November. So Mr. Andy Steve says that the Giants are the only game he feels confident about the Bengals winning. I'm not confident about that because the thing about the Giants is they got Joe Judge in his first year. Joe Judge reminds me of Sean McDermott. When I watch the Giants, I see kind of what I saw with the Bills, McDermott's first year, and the same thing with Brian Flores last year. They play hard, and defensively, they're not a bad team. Yeah. They lost Barkley, but I mean, who's to say that they don't just out tough the Bengals?
Yeah. Well, they signed was that Devontae Freeman, the running back? So you still have a Pro Bowl running back, and like you said, the Giants are tough. They have a long way to go, but they play hard, and I don't think that's going to be a game. In my opinion, the only game that I seen that I said we should have won was Philly, and that's because half of Philly was hurt, and we tied them. So if nothing changes offensively on the offensive line. The offensive line by themselves are going to have ruined this season and will continue to ruin our season and put crocodile tears in my boy Ty Robbins' eyes every Sunday, brother.
Every Sunday, you're breaking my heart.
Hey, Ty, do you want? We're going to give you. We've never done this before, but we're going to give you a chance to change your pick on the Bengals and Colts.
I can. I'm not going with the Colts, man. Yeah. If it was somebody else, if Pate was playing, I might consider it.
Well, here you go, Joe. Mike is in Orlando, and Reggie Williams isn't that far away. So,
Yeah, Reg is. I'm sure he feels the same way like I do, man. Reg. That's Reg is a Bengal. Reg is Mr. Bengal. So, he's. I'm sure he'll root for the Bengals if they do well and get far. But he's a realist as well. And he knows, and if anybody knows the Browns, it's number 57.
yeah, he's known it for a decade longer than you have, too, Joe.
Yeah, and he's had some intimate, close-up conversations, candid conversations with Mike Brown when he was a player. When he was a councilman, when he was retired, and going through some of his trials and tribulations with his knee. It was pretty testy, and it got very testy. They have since talked and met to mend some of those fences. But if you can take a guy like Reggie Williams and there be some commotion between a guy who literally gave his life to the Bengal organization, probably has played. I don't know if him or Rattler, who has the most games.
I don't probably Reggie. I'm not sure. Reggie played from 70.
Yeah, Reggie played 14
to 89.
Yeah,
and the Rattler I think was like 69 or 70 to 83. They're probably close, but since Reggie had the 16-game season most of his career, that might be the difference there. But they're both up there. Of course, the Rattler just recently passed away. Mike talked about a Ring of Honor. If I was going to bring up a Ring of Honor in Cincinnati, probably the first names that would pop into my head are Reggie Williams, Ken Riley, Ken Anderson, and
Isaac Curtis,
and Joe Kelly.
Yeah, I'll be down there by the concession stand over the hot dogs.
Hey, what the hell? But you know what? The Bengals will still make you pay for the damn hot dogs too.
Right. You know it, man. Unfortunately,
and it is embarrassing, as Andy Steve says, that they don't have one already. Not even a Ring of Honor. At least have a Bengals Hall of Fame. And Isaac Curtis. I mean, Tim Crumride. There's a lot of guys.
Man. Oh man, the list goes on.
Anthony Munoz. We didn't say Anthony Munoz.
Oh, that goes unsaid. You're talking about Boomer. There's a whole lot of players. Ross Bowner, Eddie Edwards. There's so many guys.
Max Montoya. He was a hell of a player.
Coy Bacon. You have Lamar Parrish. You have so many guys that the guys I played with, Fulcher. Eddie Brown. There's so many guys that as a fan, and you go to other stadiums. I know you guys been to other stadiums, and you see their players. And Bengals, at least now, there isn't a Ring of Honor, but now I would say maybe 3-4 years ago they have these huge pictures of some of the bingo legends in there. So I give them kudos.
I think Mike had this printed off at Kinko's, Joe.
Yeah, maybe so. Like I said, it's a start. Mike is, hey, when I put their pictures up, why do I need a Ring of Honor? It's no different than every other team in the NFL has an alumni booth where alumni come. I played 6 teams. I can go to all my other 5 teams. Hey, Joe Kelly, want to come to this game? Here they're not necessarily going to fly me out. If I'm there, if I'm in Philly, call Joe Kelly. You need 2 tickets. Come up here. You're in the alumni suite. Bengals won't do that because he thinks that it would cost too much. So when was the last time the Bengals stadium been sold out? And how much is going to cost to have alumni in one Bengals one alumni suite? Because when we do come down there, fans are diehard fans. They're excited we go down there and we're signing autographs and mixing and mingle with the fans. They're excited to see alumni, all kind of alumni from the past, not just all the the top legends. They're guys. Fans have their favorite players, and it's something nice and something that every team does. to get the fans involved and keep the camaraderie going and keep that fan base excited. Yeah, and you have to keep the fan base excited when you're putting out this crap that's on the field playing. You try to get the fan base excited for something. So, we don't know, man. We're just in miserably in love, with our team, man.
Yeah. And Mike would love to get Paul's opinion on his son's job. But I'll tell you what, I think that he's done what his daddy would have wanted. He's just not as good at picking the players.
Yeah. He's not, and I think, I know that people respected Paul because of who he was. And no matter how long Mike has run the organization, I don't think Mike will ever be respected as a football guy by anybody.
And that's Mike's fault. If Mike would have went out and got an Ozzie Newsome early on, it might have changed everything, because then the city would love him. But I'll still bring it back to this. The biggest mistake I think this franchise ever made outside of trading Joe Kelly after 1989 was not hiring Bill Walsh to be the head coach in 1976.
Oh yeah. I mean, you look at the I even now currently, I know for a fact Willie Anderson is offered to come and work with the offensive line. I know Willie. I can call Willie on the phone. I know they, denied that. They don't want Willie down there working with the guys and the guys start listening to him over the offensive line coach. At the end of the day, it's about, getting these guys better. Hell, the Dallas Cowboys had Willie Anderson down there working with their guys.
Willie's been with a few different teams helping their guys, I think.
Yeah.
Willie is one of the most underrated right tackles that ever lived. I mean, if you watch Willie Anderson play, if he wasn't stuck on the Bengals of the 90s, he'd be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, I think eventually he'll get there. Hopefully Kenny, gets in there, because he deserves to get in there.
Both Kennys.
Yeah, both. Yeah, both Kennys. Both Kennys.
And Lamar Parrish was a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. So it's that, and but that's the respect that sports writers have for the Bengal organization, unfortunately, because had when you look at if both those Super Bowls were literally lost by seconds and inches, if both of those turn into victories, which wasn't, that's not something like we're hopefully wishing that they played good against India.
Yeah, they easily could have been.
Those Super Bowls, both Bengal teams should have won and had the better team. And that would have changed the trajectory of the organization on what people think of free agents coming here, having players, former players here. You look at Baltimore hiring Ozzie Newsome. As he was, what is it? He's the GM now or whatever he is.
Well, he was. He retired, I think, 2 years ago, but they won 2 Super Bowls. He became the GM as soon as they went to Baltimore.
Yeah. Okay. Because and you look at here, even Max Montoya is in the area. Anthony Munoz is in the area. Joe Walters is in the area. You have so many guys that are still in the area that were part of your organization that you could have had them. Some part of your organization. You look at all the teams I played for, the Jets, the Green Bay Packers. Their organizations are filled. Scouts are former players in their office. They're former players. So you have that connection, and I see it. Eric Davis, Cincinnati Red, we grew up together. When I go up, he takes me into the Reds booth. The Reds, they go there. There's everybody is GM, and their coaches are, scouts are former Reds. You have that commitment to your players, and with that commitment, it shows, and it just bodes well. For the type of organization that you have, and I think if we're able to do that, I think people can put the Bengals in a different light because we're not held in a different light. Nobody wants to come. Free agents don't want to come. This is not a place they want to come. Cincinnati is a great city. Cincinnati's I love Cincinnati. It's awesome city. Unfortunately, the Bengals don't have that connection with their alumni, and therefore I think there becomes a disconnect with the fan base. A lot of times when you don't have the Ring of Honor and scouts, and you get the disrespect around the league, and why we only have one Hall of Famer, and we definitely should have 5-6 Hall of Famers, bona fide Hall of Famers.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up because I got a bad prostate and it's been a little over an hour, Joe.
Yeah,
so
right.
Be real. All right,
Yeah.
Ty, quit talking crap to the people that you work with. What's the score, Joe?
Man, we're down 3-1. Dodgers down 3-1, man. So we'll see. We're still in it. Still got.
At least I'm not like the Reds. It got swept right away. All right, guys, we will be back.
God, 6-1 now. Oh,
we will be back. You guys want to do next Wednesday or Thursday?
Either day works for me.
All right, we'll just go next Wednesday, 9 o'clock. We'll talk about the Bengals and the Colts. Ty will pick the Bengals to win the next game, and I don't even know who the hell that is anymore. So it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to pick the Bengals.
Who Dey Nation.
Who Dey Nation. Who Dey.
Yeah. All right. And Mr. Andy Steve says, thanks for talking, fellas. Thanks for listening, Andy. Make sure you stop back next week. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. For now, for Ty Robbins, Joe Kelly, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening and watching to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.